أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه وأفضل بريته سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. One of those who will not fast during the month of Ramadan is a person who is a traveler. Now, in the terminology of Islam, he is called a musafir, one on a journey or one a traveler. Before we discuss about the fasting, or rather the rules which are connected with the fasting, we must first understand who is a traveler in Sharia and when does traveling actually begin. For those who are in their hometowns, that means in Watan, where they live and they reside, if they have decided to travel, say tomorrow, according to Sharia, traveling does not begin from home. That means you have decided that you are traveling tomorrow, but it does not mean that as you leave your house, you are a traveler. It does not mean that. You become a traveler when you have left the city. Whether it is a small town or village or a big city, once you are out of the boundaries of the city, and thereafter if you have crossed 14 miles one way, as you can return 20 or 28 miles one stretch, then you are a traveler, otherwise you are not a traveler. That means, suppose in the month of Ramadan, I have decided to travel tomorrow to Peterborough or Birmingham. Or I am not allowed to break fast before I have reached that boundary where I left the city and further on. It's not that because I am a traveler, therefore I have a good cup of tea in the morning at home. You are not a traveler then, even if you have decided to travel. In your hometown, you are a traveler after you have left the bounds, which is called Hadde Tarakhus. In olden days, the boundaries were determined in different way. In olden days, because the Muslim countries or Muslim towns, Muslim villages, fiqh written in those days, of course, were such that gave such signs like when you cease to hear the voice of adhan. I mean, this applies to a Muslim city or Muslim town. Or when you cease to look or see around and find houses of the city. But in the cases of big cities like London and Tehran or Bombay or Los Angeles and things like that, this does not apply. So it has got to be when you leave the boundary of a city. Maybe roughly, if you take London as an example, when you leave the city and enter into motorways, or when you leave a borough and enter into another shire or borough, you are out of your city. Or where it is now said is out of London, it's not in London, then that can be also called out of boundary. In that case, if you have reached that place and traveled 28 miles for stretch or 14 miles going and 14 miles coming, then you are a traveler, otherwise you are not a traveler. That is one. Second thing is that it must be halal journey and not haram journey. God forbid if someone has undertaken a journey which is for haram purpose. Now how to explain that? But there was a time when people traveled to see a particular picture released. Say they travel from Mombasa to Moshi, or from Moshi to Mombasa on one weekend to see a particular cinema picture which has been released in Mombasa. Now the purpose is to go and see that particular picture. So the purpose is haram, and the safar is safar haram. Or if a person is traveling knowing full well that he is going to give a false witness, the court case is say away from here in Peterborough or Birmingham or Leeds, and he knows that he's going to be a false witness, that safar is safar haram. God forbid, for murder, for theft, for whatever. When the purpose is for that, then that becomes safar haram. Remember, there is a difference. If a person commits a sin in his journey or during traveling, that is not safar haram, because the purpose was not that. Therefore, you must distinguish between the two. If the purpose and niyyat is haram, that safar is haram, and therefore you are not a musafir. That means even if you stay there for less than 10 days, you will pray full. There is no qasr for such musafir. 2. Third thing is that you must not be kathirus safar. That means traveling very frequently. Or traveling must not be your vocation. A driver, a conductor, a pilot, or a captain of a ship, or one who drives the cabs or whatever. These people who travel and traveling is their vocation. These people in Sharia are not travelers because they have got their own vocation. Salesman who has to travel quite often to sell is not kafirus safar. That means he has to break the fast and also pray qasr if he goes beyond. Merely traveling once a week or 2 times a week does not make you kafirus safar. Then there is a community which is called nomads, or gypsies rather, who don't have any fixed abode. They travel all the time. In Farsi we call them khana badosh. Khana badosh means one who has a house on his shoulder. That means he doesn't have a fixed abode. He's always on the move. He's called a nomad. Nomad is never a musafir. Wherever he goes, he will pray. After having known this, then now we are told that if you are a musafir in the eyes of Sharia, in the month of Ramadan, and wherever you go to, you don't want to stay there for 10 days or more, you will not fast there. The criterion is where you pray qasr, you don't fast. Where you pray tamam, and then complete, you fast. Now more of it inshallah we will carry for tomorrow. Tonight is Thursday night, Laylatul Jum'ah, the first Laylatul Jum'ah of Ramadanul Mubarak. We would have been happy if there would have been Dua Tawassul tonight also, because we have missed Dua Tawassul on the night for which it is actually, Sharia has actually said. But we fight for time. But more than time, it is Dua Tawassul which was important for Thursday night. Inshallah ta'ala, we will see that we don't miss it in the next Thursdays. Because it was a matter of time. Time doesn't come every time. And nobody knows how long we are going to live. And we don't know whether, say, next Ramadan we will be alive or we will be dead. But Tawassul is something which we don't know what it is. The only dua which has got 14 names of Ma'asumeen, and through them we say, Ya Allah, forgive our sins and fulfill our wishes, because we have cited the names. The equal of them we don't have and nobody has. But I want to say only a few words tonight. Of course, in the context that we have been discussing for the last several nights, and we shall be discussing in the nights to come, many friends have asked as to, Mullah Sahib, shall we say that your subject in this Ramadan is akhlaqiyat, that means ethics and morals? I said no. Is it ibadat and acts of worship? No. It is irfan. That means knowing Allah first, applying His teaching in our lives, and then praying. That is the meaning of it. Otherwise, we will not be where we should be. Tonight, I would like to first emphasize on certain mustahab acts, sunnah, which we think is not obligatory, but which will draw us nearer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the month of Ramadan, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, when you sit for iftar, remember the people who have no food. They may not be having even enough for iftar of their family. Remember them. And thank Allah for whatever you have in abundance. More than one plate of food, several dishes that we have on our table. And he said, give away even one date, one khurma, one khajur, so that it may protect you from Jahannam on the day of judgment. It will stand as a curtain and say, Ya Allah, this was given in the name of Allah to a hungry mouth. One of the companions stood up and said, Ya Rasulullah, I am so poor that I don't even have khurma. That means I don't have even a date. Now how can I have this thawab on the day of judgment? The Prophet said, give somebody water to drink. It may not be your own house, water from your own household. It may be from a public well. But take that water and give someone who has fasted. Tell him that do iftar on my behalf with this glass of water. And that glass of water will save you on the day of judgment. It will rise to say, Ya Allah, this one given away to one who has fasted. And of course, to invite people for iftar at home is sunnah. Mu'akkada means it has been emphasized, especially those who are poor. But all mu'mineen, to invite mu'mineen for iftar is a sunnah mu'akkada. That means you invite them home and offer iftar. Iftar. That means breaking the fast. Not a dinner after breaking the fast. That is something else. Break the fast with you. Or if it is in the mosque, inshallah, like the way we have on Saturday, Sunday, to bring something from home with the niyyah that this will be distributed among mu'mineen, mu'minat, and they will eat, whether it is only few items. But whoever will eat will be your guest. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant us the tawfiq and thawab, inshallah. That is one. Second thing is this, that people in the world at the moment are deprived of even what we are eating at the moment in this Ramadan. In Najaf, Karbala and Kazumain, the latest report is that the families have come out to sell off their children to get money to eat. This is in Najaf and Karbala, where we go for ziyarat of Sayyid al-Shuhada. Under this regime that is at the moment ruling, $1 is equal to 200 dinar, sometimes 300 dinar. And a kilo of meat is 200 dinar. Now, if we send £1 only per person, if it reaches Karbala, Najaf and Kazumain, mu'mineen there who are starving, and they are fasting also, and they cannot even feed their own children, will thank you and will pray for you in Karbala, in Najaf and in Kazumain. This is an appeal I have made for those who may think, I just don't say. We have already sent the money. We didn't wait because we could not wait. It was an emergency. But what we have sent is not more. This is the position of Iraq. From Iran, the muhajireen who have come from the marshland, the refugees, to Iran, at the moment there is a case, there are cases where there is one shirt among three brothers. One will wear, the two will remain indoors in the khaymah. They can't come out because there isn't a shirt to wear. If anybody else wants to come out of the house, this must be washed so that he wears. This is the position. When I received telephone call last from Iran, at times I think and say, Ya Allah, is it halal and jaiz for me to eat at all while there may be a young boy in Najaf and Karbala crying and saying, Mother, I want milk, and there is no milk there. There is milk, there is no money for it. And my sons, my grandsons, my children, all of them eat while there is some mouth there which is crying for food, a morsel of food. So please give. Give a pound only. But give so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may accept it. And it is not for Iraq that I am making an appeal. If I make an appeal, it is from all over the world. We have tried to do as much as we can, but sky is the limit. But when it comes to Najaf and Karbala and Kazmain, I wish that one man from Karbala and Najaf will go there to Abdullah al-Hussein or to Imam Ali al-Islam and say, or to Imam Musa ibn Jaffer, Imam Muhammad Taqi, and say, Salamullah alayhim ajma'in, that Imam, Mawla, somebody sent something for my children. I pray for him. That is enough for us. And I'm not asking for much. But it must be the Ramadan, and we have ways of sending it through the World Federation, through our Jamaat, all together, but always centralized so that it reaches in time and it reaches in the proper hands. This is my appeal. Second thing is, remember your marhumeen. Tonight, remember your marhumeen. Those who have father, mother, wife, husband, children, remember. Not only with Fatiha, reading Surah Al-Hamd only. The Prophet said, remember them in the month of Ramadan with Quran Majid. One Quran Majid, khatam, complete, from beginning till end, with the niyat of your father and mother. That thawab will go to my parents, my grandparents, or Jami' mu'mineen, for all mu'mineen, wherever they are buried, marhum. If you cannot read, because you are slow at reading, or you don't have a practice of reading, or you don't know how to read Quran Majid, give someone niyabat to read on your behalf, with the niyat of, say, your parents, grandparents, or anyone. There are many ulama, there are many mu'mineen who have undertaken such jobs, who read Quran with the, you have got to give the names of marhumeen, and they will read. And you know, all of us, we had this in Zanzibar, in Mombasa, all we used to give. And they don't ask for any particular fees to say that you must pay me this much. We pay this only as a mode of assistance. He reads Quran for our marhum. Send this. 2. 3, third is sadaqat. As I said, when you give, say, for Karbala, Najaf and Kazmain, give for anyone in India or Pakistan who is poor, make a niyyah that this is on behalf of my marhum, whoever. And it will, inshallah ta'ala, reach. If we want our ni'mah to be sustained. If possible, the Prophet said, visit the graves of your marhum. If not possible, from distance. If possible, visit the graves. For the marhumeen who see their relatives, the sons and grandsons, having come at the graveside, when the malaika come there and say, so and so has come, your son has come, he or she in the grave takes pride and says, Alhamdulillah, that God gave me a dhurriyah, God gave me a descendant which remembers me. This is what it is. To visit. Read Quran for them. Don't forget them. For there is nothing more than this that we need. We will go tomorrow. And we will go empty-handed. What will follow us in the graves is what our children and our friends will remember. And it does not divide the way we divide. People think that one Quran for all, the people will get pieces only. It's not like that. In Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not divide the treasure like this. One majlis for several marhumin does not mean that the thawab is divided. Every marhum gets the full thawab. Remember that. And tonight evening, that means from Thursday night, especially in the month of Ramadan, till Asr of Jum'ah, that means evening, the best amal is salawat, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. As many times as you can. Before going to sleep, one tasbih. Everyone knows it by heart. There isn't anything to remember. But just one tasbih, 100 times salawat, Thursday night till tomorrow evening. This is the best amal that the Prophet said on the day of judgment. Allahu Akbar. When a mu'min will come and I will be there standing, and the mu'min will find that there isn't anything that can save him from hell, Jahannam. I will say, Ya Allah, he is the one who used to say, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. I am the one who is his shafi', that means I intercede, and I pray for him that he be forgiven. Now what more do we want? Salawat tonight till tomorrow evening. This will help us refrain from talking unnecessarily. Whenever you are free, salawat, you don't need even tasbih. You can just go on repeat. And tomorrow, Salatul Jum'ah. Unfortunately, the attendance in Salatul Jum'ah is now dwindling. We used to have quite a good crowd, now it is dwindling. Partly our mukhi is to blame. You know why? Because after Namaz Jummah he used to give some sandwiches, then he stopped. Now when he stopped, everything stops. Either we don't give them sandwiches at all, so that people come for salat, whether there is sandwich or not. But if you give sandwiches and then you stop, then people look for dinner somewhere else. No. Actually, whether then in month of Ramadan I can promise you there will be no same time. We have got to be there in the Agha Sistani says that Namaz Jum'ah is now wajib takhiri. If you pray Jum'ah, there is no need for praying Dhuhr. After that you will pray Asr. Although he does not say like Ayatullah Al-Khoy did, that we definitely, obligatorily should attend. It's not wajib to attend. Agha Khoy used to say it was wajib to attend. But actually the fadail and the fadila of Jum'ah, and especially in the month of Ramadan, so let us inshallah tomorrow all of us make it a point as much as we can to join Namaz al-Jum'ah. This is the month of Ramadan. This is the way how we gradually go closer to Allah subhanahu. Not only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but when our a'mal become acceptable, Imam al-Zamana salawatullah salamu alayhi wa sallam. And what do we want? We want Imam al-Zaman alayhi salam to be a witness to what we are doing. That's all. Said Hassan Shirazi, who was killed in Beirut about 6-7 years ago, has a book called Kalimatul Mahdi alayhi salam. A book in which he has reported a hadith of our 12th Imam. In his preface, he writes that when I was in the prison of Saddam years ago, before Saddam he was in prison, but in the Ba'athist party, we know this, that Said Hassan Shirazi was the first alim to be detained by the Ba'athists. His beard was shaved and his nails were pulled out. His mother was allowed to come once and see him, and when she came, she did not recognize that it was her son. That is the way how he was tortured. And it was in the days of Ayatollah al-Hakim. Well, Ayatollah al-Hakim tried his level best. Finally, Sayyid Hassan was released after so much of torture. But after release, he wasn't even able to move. He had to go under medication and so many things. He writes that when I was being constantly tortured, one day I said, Ya Imam-e-Zaman, if I am released from this prison, I will write a book which will contain the ahadith reported from you. Very important. Because people are doubting whether Imam-e-Zaman al-Islam is there or not. Some say he was not even born. While we have wealth and treasure of ahadith. Two ways. One is by the word of mouth, and one is written by Imam-e-Zaman, which is called Tawqir. I will collect it in one volume and publish it. He says, quite evidently, Imam alayhi salam heard me. And within a short time, from then on, I was released. When I was released, after my medication and everything, when I was cured, with the so much of work around me, I forgot. I forgot. He writes himself that I forgot. When the amali has been accepted, Imam alayhi salam does not forget. He said, I went into the haram one day, one old man who I don't know came and said, Salamun alaykum Sayyid Hassan, we are waiting for your promise to be fulfilled. He said, I was shaken. I immediately remembered, but this man, I don't know him, he does not know me, no one knows my niyyah. I came home and I started working on that book and compiling it. And then I left it half done. This is the problem with all the authors. And after some time, he said, I went to Samarra. May inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us opportunity of visiting those holy places again and again, inshallah. There in Masjid al-Sahla, I saw another young man who came and said, Allah, you have started fulfilling the promise, but you have left it in. We are waiting for it. So when he said that, I came home with the firm determination that no other work I must complete. He completed that work, which of course is published. I have a copy of it in my own personal library. The name is Kalimatul Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. He says, when it is finished and it was published, one night as I slept, I saw a handsome, tall person come to me, and he was so impressive personality. I thought he was my Imam. In the dream, he said, Sayyid Hassan, thank you very much for the valuable work that you have completed. It is an authority over those who are doubting. So I thought he was my Imam, so I tried to extend my hand to be able to kiss his hand. He kissed my hand. When he kissed my hand, I knew that this must not be my Imam, because Imam does not kiss my hand. I have to kiss it. So I told him, who are you? He said, I am just a slave of Waliullah on earth. I am just a slave. I am just a messenger. I have come to thank you on the Master's behalf, for the amal has been seen and accepted. And when the amal has been accepted, Imam is the witness, my friend. When Dua-e-Kumail is accepted, Imam is the witness. When Ziyarat-e-War is accepted, Imam al-Islam is witness. And it happens sometimes that we get the good tidings and good news, basharat, that this you have done, Allah has accepted it. Well, this is the meaning of Muharram and Ramadan and Eid. Everything that we do, this is the meaning. That is the reason why we have pursued this line in the month of Ramadan, that whatever we do, Laylatul Qadr is coming, Jum'ah, Shab-e-Jum'ah is tonight. Days of Ramadan are equally all of the same virtue and excellence. May Allah grant us tawfiq to do best in these days, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.